Leo. I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your March 2021 horoscope. And we're going to get right to it as we have some really good movement this month for you. And in particular, this is going to be happening in your 7th, in your 11th house, and your 3rd house as well. And the 9th. So let's just talk about all this wonderful activity, starting with Mercury, who is now direct. Yay. I know you're celebrating like most of us, even though I have to say, I don't know that this Mercury retrograde in February was terrible. It was annoying, but it wasn't terrible. I've heard a lot of annoying stories, but nothing that was just, devastating. And I would imagine that for you, you were evaluating your relationships and your partnerships. And some of you, Leos, may have even entered into maybe some verbal agreements, but not signed any contracts yet. And that's coming in the month of March, that now you can confidently sign away. And if you did sign or agree to a contract during that Mercury retrograde, this month may also, with Mercury moving through Aquarius until the 15th, may have you reevaluating the agreement, maybe coming up with reshaping it the way that it's a little bit more clearer, maybe a little bit more professional, if you will. It could have just been a handshake and an email kind of thing. And now you're ready to put it into a document, right? So it could be something to that nature. I would also offer that you may be looking at your own personal romantic relationships as well. And there have been some things inside of you that you were evaluating and looking at and saying, how am I as a partner, taking a real objective view as to how you show up when it comes to the romantic world. And that here comes Mercury at the beginning, all the way into the 15th, giving you an opportunity to share with your loved one or share with your friends. Hey, if you want to set me up with somebody, this is who I want. These are the kind of qualities, and this is the kind of person that I need. And the reason being is because I also align with that. Some of you may be reviewing actual contracts this month, or you work in an industry that you do a lot with the contract world. And so it could be housing, mortgage, it could be, you're an attorney and there's paperwork to be signed, whatever. You should find some ease and grace in that as well. If you're a Leo who loves to be on stage and that is your role, where you get to be in front of a camera or actually on a stage, that sort of thing, and you're looking for new work or you're trying to complete some work, this is a good month for that to happen. Sign those contracts, get that new agent, whatever may work for you on that level. Now, the other reason that I'm emphasizing the contracts, not just because of 7th house, but we've got Mars, which has been in Taurus since January 6th, now moving into Gemini, which loves to connect and it loves to communicate, and it likes to have all kinds of information just given to them. And Mars is moving into your 11th house, which has to do with friendships and groups. It's also a fulfillment of wishes home for the energy that's there. And with it being in Gemini and Mars, you're probably going to be driven to get these groups or these friendships or the way in which you navigate through your community. You're ready to get people on board, to share information, to connect. And so it's possible your Zoom may get really busy. You thought your calendar was a little crazy before. It's probably going to get really full, and you'll have the energy and drive to do it. If you are looking at your schedule and you're trying to figure out, okay, where do I fit everything in? I have a feeling that with Mars sitting in Gemini here, you're going to find ways to get your friends or your groups that you belong to, your coworkers, that sort of thing, to help you out a little bit. There's going to be a bit of charm going on there for you. The other thing that we have is we have Mercury and Jupiter canoodling in Aquarius on March 4th, right after Mars moves into Gemini. Now, the last time that Mercury and Jupiter canoodled was February 14th, and Mercury was retrograde. Therefore, whatever may have come up around that time could come back as a revisit, a conversation again. And this is where I would say you may, if you didn't make a really solid agreement at that time, this is a time where the news that comes in gives you solutions, it gives you confidence, and that the information or the contract that you're about to sign is right in alignment with what you really, really want. And this also sets things up nicely for the new moon in Pisces. So remember, we do have the sun in Pisces until the 20th. And so we're going to have the moon canoodling with the sun on March 12th. This is going to be in your 8th house, which has to do with joint resources. So if you think about it, the month of March has a lot of emphasis around collaboration, around connection, around having other people doing things together. Now, I realize, Leo, you like to stand on stage and be seen, and you like the attention, and you like to lead. You have that natural leadership to you. However, if you have no one following you, who are you leading? So you need others in order to have that kind of leadership. This is where your 8th house, the new moon in Pisces, can really get activated, where you get to find maybe some new resources that allow you to continue to bless others, continue to do what you do best out in the world. I would also say intimacy may play a big theme during this new moon, that 8th house being activated where you want deeper intimacy in your closest relationships. And this can apply even into the professional world, because if you don't trust, that's really where that intimacy comes in. It's forming those strong bonds, and then you trust. If you're not able to trust and be vulnerable, even with your business partner, it's very difficult to stay on the same page and drive the business forward. So you may find personally and professionally that intimacy is going to play a big part. Great news for single Leos if you're looking for love. This could be a time where you meet that beloved, or maybe you've had little seeds planted before that during the new moon on the 11th of February, when Mercury was retrograde, maybe that seed started to grow during the last new moon, and this one finally solidifies it, right? If you are partnered, if you're a Leo who has a bonded relationship, this could signal such a great time for you to enjoy time in the bedroom. Go have some fun, whatever it is that gets that libido moving. This is a great new moon for it. The other thing is we've got then Mercury moving into Pisces. So Mercury is going to start making its move towards the sun on March 15th. And when Mercury moves into Pisces, it has a tendency to be a little painting the beautiful picture, if you will, that isn't always what it seems to be. However, there's great compassion and there's great healing in our words and in the way in which we connect. And what you may find with Mercury in Pisces is that there's some really deep healing that can take place from the mental space. Maybe there's mental health for you that comes up, or maybe there's somebody that will use, for example, this new relationship for you single Leos, that the communication and the conversations you have with this new person is very healing for the two of you, and maybe some wounds that you bring to the relationship. Can also apply, of course, to the bonded relationships, because if there's a subject matter that has been scratchy and just hasn't really felt good, this could be a wonderful time to bring in more compassion into working through it together. Some of you may end up hiring a professional couples counselor, right? Now we have the sun moving into Aries on the spring equinox. That's what signifies our spring equinox, March 20th, and Venus also moving into Aries that day. And that's going to set us up for a full moon in Libra on March 28th. But before we run too fast to that full moon, when the sun moves into Aries here, it is going to really activate this feeling of, here comes the sun. That's the song that I keep hearing in my head. Here comes the sun. And Venus in Aries, she's going to give us this drive and passion to be able to. And the reason that I offer this passion and drive is because we've got Mars trining Saturn also during this time. So Venus in Aries is doing her best to seduce us through these, I imagine a lot of Leos, especially if you enjoy painting your nails, with these bright red fingernails and toenails, and I think of the song or the phrase, the devil with the red dress on. That happens to be our Venus in Aries. And then we have her cosmic lover Mars trining Saturn and the sun in Aries as well. I have a feeling this spring equinox is going to be hot, hot, hot for you, fellow fire sign. And with this activity happening in your ninth house, you're going to want to have far-reaching opportunities to be able to share your best self, to really look sexy and fun. And I would imagine that this also could be used in the boardroom, so to speak, or in the professional setting where you're trying to communicate your ideas out to everybody and go, hey, team, this is what we need to do. And I have a vision for where I want to take the next step, or where I want to take the company, or what I want to do with this next project. And most likely everybody's going to feel your enthusiasm and go, yeah, I'm on board, let's do this. And they're going to follow you. Remember, we talk about that follower that you need in order to be the leader, right? Also, I would say that you're probably going to be feeling that spring has finally sprung. There's a little more pep in your step, especially because this sun and Venus will be trining your sun. And so the vitality and the energy that is going to be coursing through your veins, I feel, is going to give you that extra oomph. So if there's something in particular that you were wanting to get out into the world, that you are wanting to do for yourself in health or in relationship or whatever it might be, you'll find probably a lot more courage and a lot more joy in doing these certain things. Now, the other thing I would say is, if you are a Leo that is prompted to get a higher education, to start that certification, whatever it might be, you should find a lot of good energy and support for this around the spring equinox. Keep in mind, Mars trining Saturn is something that you may initiate that takes time, to receive over time. And if you think about it, using the example of going to school, if you start the curriculum now, it could take, if it's grad school, it's 2.5 years, maybe 3, depending on your program, in order to get that degree. However, this is such a blessed time to do it. Go for it. The other thing, as it mentioned, it leads us into our final big activity of the month, which is the full moon in Libra on the 28th, and that will be in your third house, re-emphasizing this communication, this publication, writing, education house and energy. And so I would also say that there is a tendency with this third house to emphasize siblings as well. So if you have a sibling, and I would imagine quite a few of you Leos do, because you'd like to have your pride, the kings, right? That your siblings may also need some attention, or you may find that you're ready to do something with them. The other thing with this full moon in Libra is it is an emphasis of relationships. So you may communicate to someone, hey, I really care about you, or hey, this isn't working for me anymore. Let's transition to a different format. So there's also a possibility that you get to launch at this full moon, you're into a greater scale, into a bigger place. You get to launch your ideas and your the things that you're wanting most. You get to kind of throw the seed out into the world, so to speak. I would imagine that this full moon could be really a big blessing for you when it comes to the relationship sector. That's another big emphasis for you in this month of March. All right, Leo, I really hope that this video helps. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Love to hear your feedback. And of course, find me at jamiedawn.com. Take care.